I just got to Almeria, Spain. I'm here for 2 days, and I'm gonna ride 2 new Ducatis. We're gonna be riding the Streetfighter V2S, and we're gonna be riding the Streetfighter V4S. This new V4S has got 205 horsepower, Öhlins fully adjustable suspension, same double-sided swing arm, it's got the same frame, it's got almost exactly the same stuff as the Panigale, but it's just naked. There's only a few changes to the chassis, and one of them is the steering angle is a little more relaxed and it's got a little bit more trail, just to give it a little bit more street ability. But other than that, it's basically just a Panigale V4S without the bodywork on it. Before we get riding, we have to go to the press conference and learn everything about these bikes. We know a lot about them. We've done a first look, we've done a buyer's guide. We know the details, but now we're gonna talk to the engineers, we're gonna talk to product planners. We're gonna get the backstory for both bikes and see if there's anything new we can learn. And then get up in the morning, go hit the track. Oh, all right, so last night, unfortunately, I was fed a undercooked, dang near raw chicken sandwich. So now, I brought my stunt double.
What are you doing?
Adam Child, AKA Chad. You've seen him on a lot of tests, you know who he is. He's better on camera than I am anyways, but he's faster too. So he's gonna be out here riding as well. So we are gonna team up on this review because I may not be spending a lot of time on the track. We shall see.
210 horsepower, one of the hardest tracks in Spain, 20 degrees. It's a perfect recipe for food poisoning.
It's perfect when you're sick to be doing that on one of the hardest tracks. Yeah. So anyway, you got a fast guy, you've got a big guy, small guy, slow guy, old guy.
I'm older.
Oldish
Am I
guy.
older?
I don't know.
How old are you?
49.
Oh, you're a little bit older, yeah.
Yeah, see? Young guy, old guy. Anyways, you'll get a good cross-section of who this bike is for and what it's like for different skill levels. So he's going to check in with me later and we'll go over the bike.
Cool, man.
Okay, first session done. As much power as it has, it's so easy to ride. It is surprising. I mean, it was in sport mode, but they upped the power to full power in the settings. And even with 214 horsepower, it's rideable. It's really linear power. Like, it doesn't ramp up at the end or anything. It just pulls all the way through. It's super nice. Brakes are pretty strong, but they don't have a ton of like initial bite, which is good. They're really progressive. They're super powerful. I got in deep a couple times accidentally. This track is really deceiving. You forget where you're at. First impressions, amazing. Really comfortable, actually, not uncomfortable whatsoever. So next group's going out, and then I got 15 minutes and I'm on again. Okay, it's the end of the day on the V4S Streetfighter. Overall, from previous version to this version, what's your take?
It's really difficult because we rode the V4S, the previous one, 2 years at this track. And I remember finishing that track session going, Jesus, that was hard work. My arms are pumped. I've got forearm pump. You don't need any more power. That is the most extreme, radical, badass, naked bike on the market. And then you come in and go, given you more.
Yeah, we've given you more badass.
We've given you more power. It's even more powerful. The Panigale that we've ridden extensively in Vallelunga and other tracks in Italy, they've made it so much easier to ride than the old Panigale. And I think what they've done with this is made it, the chassis more forgiving, more accessible, but also given us so many rider aids and this EC3 suspension that you can, you know, I would say bite the screen, but there is no screen.
Yeah.
You know, you can bite the bars, you can really push, you can scare yourself. An AMA racer or a TT racer will come off this and go, Jesus. But another guy can take it to a track or a track day, change all the modes, put some rider aids on, and in theory, we haven't done it, it should be a good road bike.
I've never been here, so I'm learning this side of the track and had it in sport mode, had everything kind of cranked up to mid levels of protection, and it was like, this is easy. This is not difficult.
Yeah.
And then as you pick up the speed and you get faster, then you realize the veracity of the bike and how hard-edged it can be if you turn it to race mode and you turn everything off. Then it gets fast and crazy, but it can also be very easy to ride.
When I went full power and turned the rider aids down, I was like, I couldn't make full use of it.
Yeah.
So I had to short shift in places. So I was like, you know, throw another gear at it.
Yeah.
And then when I pulled the power back to medium, but left the suspension in race and the rider aids in race, then I didn't have to short shift.
Yeah.
So actually going to the higher power modes was making me go slower. So even like some of the best riders, I think, would still go faster in the medium. The weird thing is with this model is it never stops accelerating.
No.
It's just like rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
There's another gear, another gear, another gear. I am going so fast and you brake 50 meters too early.
Oh yeah, I was over braking all day long. I never
These
broke myself up
brakes
because these brakes are phenomenal and they're not super grabby at the beginning. They're just they have power immediately, but it's not a bite. It's it's a and then once you get into it, it just yanks the thing down.
It'll be interesting to see how this goes against some of the competition.
Yeah. So what about any rough spots or complaints?
For me, the only one is the price, but that is with every Ducati that I ride.
Yeah, I think for anyone that's interested in Ducati, price doesn't matter. It's all relative.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're gonna ride the V2, which is not quite as spendy.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got that, but I think value, I think 30K is okay.
Like, I don't know if kids put posters on walls anymore, but this is the poster bike. This is the bike that when you open the garage door and you see those wings, you go, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you have got that appeal, and this is the MotoGP winning the World Superbike. You know, this is Ducati, and that's what you expect when you buy a Ferrari. You pay a lot of money. But I don't know if some people are going to go, well, that's $30,000 and the competition is considerably less. But then you're not going to get the power and the torque.
No.
And you know, that kind of like, I've got 180, well, we've got 215.
Yeah, exactly. Well, 205 in the US, but.
Are you only got 5?
Yeah, 205, yeah.
If you do unleash it, it is a beast. You know, if you want a Ducati V4S Streetfighter with over 200 horsepower, you want it to feel like you've got more than 200 horsepower.
You want to get tingly. You want to feel like a little bit of.
Like I was getting like muscle pull and like, you know, we're gonna have a few shandies tonight and we'll be like in bed by 10 o'clock, so we'll be all knackered. And I think that's what you want. You know, like some cars, you know, have got amazing horsepower, but they don't feel like you're driving them. You know.
Yeah.
And some bikes are so amazing, it doesn't feel like you're doing anything.
Yeah.
But this feels like I've been in a fight. Like if I go to full power and I turn the rider aids off, I'm in a fight. Yeah. But then equally, you know, you can turn it down and just have a few nice.
Yeah, it's a passionate motorcycle. We'll leave it at that. Okay, time to hit the road on the V2. 120 horsepower, lighter than before, less power than before. So it'll be interesting. They say it's the best Streetfighter V2 ever built because of the lightness, even though there's less HPs under the hood. Interesting quote from one of the Ducati bosses. He says, on this bike, physics is in your favor. So that's what we're gonna find out. See how she sounds. Yeah. Wow, immediately you can feel the wider bar. Quite low too, actually. I would prefer the bar to be a bit more upright. Bike
bike is pretty compact ergo-wise. I would say it's more comfortable than a Panigale, but in the foot peg to seat setup, it's pretty tight, which would make it maybe a challenge for some people for long rides. Shorter leg people probably enjoy it. Long leg might be a little cramped. Engine-wise vibes, like down to like 4,500 RPM, there's some engine vibration. It's kind of chunky and bumpy feeling, like bump, 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 bump. But when you get up in the higher rev range around 6 to 7, it's super smooth. But when you're riding around town, like, you're gonna notice the vibration. It's not an annoying vibration. It's vibration lets you know there's some power sitting underneath you.
We just got done with day 2 of the Streetfighter event, riding the Streetfighter V2, which is the smaller, but I wouldn't say the lesser of the Streetfighters.
No, definitely not. On those roads that we rode today, on all those switchbacks up in the hills, the V2 made kind of perfect sense.
Yeah, it had just the right amount of bottom end grunt and torque to be fun, and then it had enough legs when the road opened up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bonkers crazy fast.
No, because some of those corners were like first gear hairpins, and if you'd been on the V4, you'd be tramping up to those, like, not panicking, but you'd be like, everything would be rushing towards you. Where today, it was like, it was brisk, but manageable and fun.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have to double the national speed limit to get the kicks.
No, yeah, the Street Fighter like warps time, right?
That's
and
good, yeah.
and everything happens so fast and it's frantic.
Like in Star Wars when they hit light speed,
yeah,
you know, they go,
everything turns to a blur. Where this, it feels like you're in control of the bike, even when you have it to the stop.
Yeah.
You're not along for the ride. Like the V4, when you put it to the stop, you're kind of holding on until you see a beam of light in the sky and you go, okay, and you let off. It's interesting because there is a lot more induction noise from the airbox / front frame. That, you know, comes through these scoops here. It sounds really good. But then when you hear a bike go by, it's not obnoxiously loud or...
No. When you guys set off, I was like, oh. But when you ride it, it feels evocative, it feels evolving, it feels like you're doing something. And if you're in like if you're in a high gear and you request a lot of power, you get that ball. You get that real nice induction. It just feels like you're more involved with it.
The engine is great. It's got a lot of torque down low.
Really, yeah, a lot. Like I was saying to you at lunch, like almost like a big sink. You know, like you can just go like pop in second gear. You know, like, I mean, you're obviously far better at it than me off road, but it's like, you know, that crawl up a rear sprocket kind of.
Yeah, you can almost feel each piston pulse.
Yeah, and it just like crawls up the rear sprocket and just pulls itself up the hill.
Yeah.
And then equally, you get it above 8,000 and it'll rev.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable at that end. And the quick shifter is really,
Quick shifter was
we need to stop
dialed.
making noises to describe bikes.
No, that's how you speak. That's how you speak in moto.
But it's like, you know, you come into a corner, you're fourth, and second gear hairpin, it's like, and you're into second, and then you can either like, it back out, or you can go into in third and get that airbox noise and just ride it out in third in the mid-range. There's a lovely balance to it.
It's a really nice engine, and it being less horsepower than the 955 it's replacing.
Yeah.
I don't feel that it's missing it because the bike is thinner and it's smaller and it's lighter.
Yeah.
And the torque is there at the bottom. Like, I don't feel like this is any bit slower than that bike.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised by the suspension because we've been riding the Semi with the EC3.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about semi-auto, and this is obviously manually adjustable, but it worked on the freeway, even when it was quite bumpy. It worked in town, and then it worked when we upped the pace.
Yeah.
It worked for my size, it worked for your size.
Yeah, I mean, and it was the front and the rear both very communicative.
Yeah.
With the tires and with the suspension action. Like, you could really feel where you're at and what you were doing the entire time, front and rear.
But even feeling like when we went up into the hills, the temperature dropped, the grip dropped, some of the corners didn't have grip, some had grip.
Yeah.
And you can only know that by a chassis telling you.
Yeah.
You know, there's no signs that says low grip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's
Diesel here.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
there was a
dirt
few
here.
places, you know, you go in and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's not quite there. And then there was a few you could just rail it. You know, like it was a berm and just throw it on its side.
Yeah, handling, the chassis is great. I think ergonomics, the only very small miss for me is the bars.
Yeah.
They're quite wide.
Yeah.
Which can't you forward a bit more than maybe I would like. I'd like to be up a little bit more when you're in the city and moving at 6/10, 7/10.
Yeah.
Once you get
You want them higher.
railing, but once you get really moving,
Yeah.
the bars make sense.
Yeah. I kind of like the wideness. It reminds me a little bit of old Monsters.
Yeah.
You know, remember you were like, whoa, you know, you got on a Monster, you had that like,
Yeah.
and also that burp, you know, the airbox noise of an old Monster. It's got some of that, and to me it feels, you know, 10-year-old Monsters with wide bars.
Yeah.
And they're what, 30 mil?
They're 30 mil wider, so 15 on each side. On the freeway, I was like moving my hands in and grabbing here and here, and I was like, oh, that's the right spot.
Ah, okay. And how was it ergonomically for you? Because I'm a little bit shorter than you.
Yeah, I mean, it's compact-ish. Reach of the bars was fine. You know, my knees are moto dirt bike knees, so they get sore quickly, and I didn't need to really stretch my legs until the very end of the day. So I would classify that as a success.
Cool.
Yeah, these are meters, and they have like a countdown.
Yeah.
Electronics, super easy system to use.
Yeah.
The menu, we could just run right through it, figure it out.
Yep.
And the changes are pronounced in each area.
It's really intuitive. You've got the 3 different dashes. You know, so you can have the race dash, you can have the road and road pro. So if you're touring, you can see your trips and your MPG and your mileage, and then you've got that nice kind of dash where you can see which rider aids you're using and not using. Yeah. That's really intuitive. The only thing for me is like when you change some of the higher modes, because you've got 120 horsepower, you're more changing how much economy and ABS you want.
Exactly.
And then it's quite easy to make your own personal mode. We had no wheelie control, but we still had traction.
Yeah, which is really awesome.
Yeah, because you can't do that with a lot of bikes. And these roads in places are really dusty, quite slippery. So you want that bit of traction if you run wide or on a zebra crossing.
Yeah.
But you don't want the wheelie control. Yeah.
It's nice.
And it does wheelie effortlessly.
It really does.
Because the old one didn't. The old one was really hard.
Yeah, it was really hard.
Because when you clutched it, it'd be like, you
Yeah.
just didn't like it. It was like, no. It was like trying to take an angry dog for a walk.
Yeah, this one you
didn't want to do it.
You can just flick the clutch barely.
Yeah.
In like at the top of a second, and it just goes up, and it just rotates to this spot, and then it just likes to just sit there.
You feel like you're always in control of it. So even when you're doing something like a wheelie, or you're trying to back it in, or you're having some fun, or you're hitting a road you don't know, you never feel too intimidated.
No.
It's not scary.
No,
even
you
though
can
it's
play.
a Ducati Streetfighter.
Yeah.
It should be called maybe the Ducati Comfy Panda or
Street tickler.
Street.
So we've ridden both bikes. The V4 is for who?
The V4 for me is probably somebody who's used to superbikes. So somebody's coming down from a superbike, but they don't want to dress like a Power Ranger. They're occasionally going to ride on the road. They're maybe our age and they don't want to, get all cramped up on a race bike, and they're going to occasionally ride on the road. The Streetfighter V4 is you've got the performance of a superbike, but you can go to work on it. You can take, you can go to your mate's house, you can go to a bar on it, you look cool on it.
Yeah.
But you can, if you wanted to go to a track, hang on to anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to control the power, linear, really fun, but it is for the people looking for the most extreme example.
Yeah.
This bike is for who?
It can do everything. There's no reason why you can't hit some good tires to this to take it to the track.
Absolutely.
There's no reason why you can't put in some serious miles, optional cruise control. There's no reason why you can't commute in it, no reason why you can't hit the canyons on it. So for me, I've always enjoyed this kind of middleweight, 110 to 140 horsepower friendly class.
Yeah.
And in the real world, when you've got speed cameras, you've got police, and you have to explain to your wife what you've just done, then this bike just makes so much sense, because it's kind of like sensible in some ways, but then it's just got like an evil little dark side.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with everything you said. This bike is the more sensible choice of Streetfighters.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would be more happier on this than the V4, just because you can exploit it all. You feel like a hero on it.
Yeah, it definitely makes you feel like a hero, and it's so light.
Yeah, it's super light.
Like we've ridden it like 6 sessions yesterday on the V4S, and I had muzzle pump, I had blisters. We are not athletes by any stretch of the imagination. But
Speak for yourself, actually.
Okay. But we could ride this on the road for another 50, 60K.
Oh, yeah. So then the last and final question of the two, what's your pick? Surprise me.
Honestly, if it was my money, then I would go V2.
I agree.
I would go V2. Yep. I would look across at V4s and go, oh yeah, that is thing. But the majority of my riding, 80% of my riding is on the street.
Yeah.
And when I want to do my kicks, then I go racing.
Same thing for me. This bike would be my choice. It's more sensible, but it still has the ability to go do bonkers things.
Yeah.
To 9/10 of what I could do on the Panigale V4, and that's good enough.
Yeah, 100%.
So there you have it. V2 for the win between the two. Both are excellent. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.